Welcome back to Master Glass. I'm your host, Livio. Today I am going to try two new Fernets. Now they might not be new for you, but they're definitely new for me because I've never tried them before. Let's get into it. You might have seen my other video on Fernets. On that video, I tasted 5 different ones. I gave you the history, I gave you the rundown on what Fernet is. I'm not gonna be repetitious and do that again. I am, however, going to leave the link below so that you can go check out that video if you please. Today I'm gonna taste 2 Fernets that are new to me. I've never tried them before. And this first one here is from a company called Quaglia. Now Quaglia is from the Piedmont region of Italy. The distillery has been around since the late 1800s, I believe 1890. And I'm gonna just pour this Fernet right in there and see what it's all about. I have slightly chilled these, just slightly, not frozen. Because I really want to taste the Fernet from an evaluation standpoint. I prefer them to be just a smidge chilled, not super cold and not super warm. Okay, color of this seems a light brown, right? I can still see through it. It's not that big, rich, syrupy, thick brown or dark color that we find in Fernets. When I put it through the white light, it almost becomes a rich mahogany. On the aroma, I get that chamomile that's typical of Fernets. And I'm getting some herbaceous notes. Yeah, some slight mint to it. Chamomile and mint, that's it. The texture, Fernets are usually not super syrupy because they don't have a lot of sugar in them. Texture here is medium low, which is kind of typical to what you will find in a Fernet. What I'm getting here is a lot of minty flavor, a lot of eucalyptic, mouth-watering, fresh, herbaceous mintiness. I almost want to say that this would be something like a minty Fernet, but they backed it off a little bit. As you know, a lot of Fernet brands, they make a menta version. This isn't a menta version, but it's got a lot of menta in it. And menta usually is that minty flavor. Really nice and light and easy drinking. Yeah, now I'm getting more of that gentian bitterness on my second sip, which was a lot smaller. I just kind of wet the tip of my tongue with it. It's a very pleasant drink, and I'm gonna set it over here, and I'm going to compare it to this fellow over here. In my previous video, on the one where I did the 5 Fernets, I was very specific about being biased to Italian ones and not really having any non-Italian Fernets on the table. Today with you, I am opening my horizons, and I'm gonna try this Fernet from Santa Barbara called Throwback. It's a California Fernet. Now this one here was 40% alcohol by volume. This one here is 35%, so lighter in alcohol. But as you can see, the color here is a little richer than what we had going on with this one here. We've got a little darker color in this version here. The aroma gives me a, oh wow, perfumey and floral. Yeah, nice and very, very interesting aroma to it. Some cacao, cocoa pod aroma. So, oh yeah, it went from cacao to cocoa to mint to chocolate. Very nice, a lot going on the aroma here. Back to cacao. If I were blindfolded, I would say that somebody made me a dark creme de cocoa cocktail with some sort of a floral, fragrant, and herbaceous ingredient mix in it. Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah, this went super chocolatey. Chocolatey, and that gentian bitterness that I was getting in the Quaglia here is richer. It's funny how most of the times when you're trying to compensate bitterness, you compensate it with sweetness. So the more you make a product bitter, the more you have to add sugar into it. So the more you're making it bitter, in order to make it drinkable, you're making it bittersweet, not just bitter. In this case here, I feel like the bitterness isn't being compensated with sugar, it's being compensated with this cocoa pod flavor. So it's almost like a tart cocoa coffee flavor that is then being yin and yanged with some deep bitter flavors to it. This is quite an interesting and yeah, this is pretty complex product here. Which is interesting because at 35% alcohol by volume, it promised to be a little more easygoing, but it didn't. Very unique, and I'm glad I tasted it. I'm also glad that I tasted these two products on the same day because they are completely different, completely different. Over here, we're talking about fresh mint bitterness. Over here, we're talking about deep, rich, chocolatey, coffee-like bitterness. If I gather anything from this video, and of course the other one that I did, which is in the link below, what I would say is that you can't just have one Fernet at the bar anymore. You can't just have one Fernet at the house anymore. You really have to explore this category and get a few in the house with a little bit of diversity. And diverse these two are. Now, if you found any value in this video, please go ahead and give it a like and share it with your best friends. And come back to Master Glass with me, Livio Lauro, where we talk about traditions and the drinks that are tied to them. Thanks for watching.